Angelo.
Sunny Venice Beach.
Sunny Venice Beach, yeah. It's like middle of the winter. There's like 5 people here surfing.
I lose control when I get there. I know the answer. Let me know when I get closer.
Hey, how's it going?
Great.
How you guys doing? Good, man. Good. Oh yes. Oh yes. Let's do it. And we'll buy coffee. oh, cool. Well, thanks, guys. Well, I got into music when I was younger, I guess like middle school, high school kind of time, and I just started out playing in like rock bands, punk bands, and that kind of thing, and then past that, I got into electronic music, like industrial type stuff, which kind of led me into checking out more dance floor stuff. And when I was in college, I started really getting into more dance floor oriented drum and bass after being into more experimental music before that. Yeah. That's when I met Nick, and we met at college and started making tunes together. And then we met AJ through the burgeoning internet, and that's when we started Evol Intent. All just came together. We both had like a similar interest in making the same kind of music, and it just all kind of went from there. Yeah, so we first things really kicked off in about 2002, 2003. We were doing a couple tunes that just really started to catch the attention of people in England. So at that time, I think our first big release was on Barcode for like an international record, which was a subsidiary of Renegade Hardware. And so after that, we just started building this worldwide fan base. And that really just rocketed things up, and as we were going about it, just learning everything we could and trying to become better at production. I used to do a project called Computer Club, which was more electro house, and now I just started a new one just as my solo alias, Gigantor. Yeah. I've been pushing various sounds with that and having a good time with that. Still doing Evol Intent at the same time, and the other members of the group as well are, Nick is also Bro Safari. It's a massive project over here, and then AJ is also Treasure Fingers, who is like known for more tech and disco house. I'm really all over the place in a lot of ways, but when I started out, it was a lot of rock bands. Like one of the bands I was in, I used to joke that our Bible was bands like Failure and Hum, who were like these more sonic rock or shoegazer type rock bands, and the Pixies. And a big one on me was 9 Inch Nails as well, is huge. And so over the years, I found like all kinds of other stuff, like current bands that I'm really inspired by would be like Tame Impala even, trying to think of Radiohead also is just another massive influence, and even stuff that's kind of outside of electronic music really has its way in. Like at home, a lot of the times I'm listening to mostly rock music and stuff that's not normally what I'm working on in the studio. No. So it's there is this really funny, I was gonna say, I think it's kind of, a lot of people might think it's strange that, go all over the place. And I was about to say we should probably stop, so don't want to get hit. But yeah, there's you can draw influence from anything, I feel like, music-wise. Like there's always this, there's always something out there that you can take from whatever you listen to, and I mean I've seen it go both ways. Like there are rock bands who'd be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I really like, would hit us up and be like, really like these drum and bass tunes. You're just like how the hell did we get on your radar? But that's the magic of it, I feel like, if you have an open mind and you realize like there's more music out there than just this little like scene that I started in. So that's I find inspiration all over the place in that sense. So, got a bunch of plans for both my solo stuff and Evol Intent. The Evol Intent stuff right now, we're working on an LP. Aside from a couple singles popping on a label here or there, we had this concept of doing something that's kind of like watching everything happen with social media at the moment. We're kind of, we talk between ourselves a lot about like how fucked up the current social media world is, and it feels like people forget that they're more than a screen name or something like that. So kind of been an overarching theme that we've been working on a little bit. A lot of drum and bass stuff we've been working on, also a lot of different like down tempo kind of stuff as well. So, and yeah, I was gonna say stuff that you would probably, with the influences that we have, would be more appropriate for what we do. So I'm gonna duck here under the under the shrubbery. But yeah, like that's and then like as far as my Gigantor stuff, I have been doing a lot of like heavier oriented house stuff, but there is also drum and bass and some more like super left field like beats kind of tunes as well. So that's all stuff I'm really looking forward to put out as well.
Right, so should we head down to your studio?
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Let's have a look.
Which way?
Oh, let's go this way. But yeah, like, yeah, if we're just gonna roll, yeah, aside from Evol Intent and Gigantor and my own stuff, I do a lot of other, I do some engineering and mastering for folks. I also run a company with my friend Dylan from Castlevania, and we do samples and synth patches as well, so do a fair bit of that, and yeah, that almost all that stuff combined is sort of what I do here every day. For a lot of engineering stuff, I tend to keep it all in the box these days, but very often now I will sometimes cook stuff through this console. It's old Mackie, and it's the best way to put it is it's a piece of shit in the best way. And then also I love this tape machine. This is something in sound design I'll often use it a lot, especially if I'm getting a bit weirder. Also some of like the older effects over here. Like, I mean, Space Echo is a classic. I find myself using the Universal Audio emulation of that a fair bit as well. Sometimes not mastering, but mixing. Yeah, sometimes I'll be using this just because I'm a fan of, you know, the old effect on it. But there's like crazier ways to set it all up in the Universal Audio plugins. So it, you know, but this will just do stuff again. It's very different. And also I yeah, like Universal Audio satellite, like their hardware stuff, the Electron analog heat as well. Like that's something I'll use occasionally, because if I want to everything as far as like a lot of like if I'm using something for saturation or distortion, they all have different flavors to it. So it's just something that I found that makes it a little bit more fun. I mean, I don't know if I can really go ahead and say it, but you know, Phase Plant's pretty awesome. I've been having a blast using that. I really like the Fab Filter stuff. I love Isotope stuff. I mean, obviously Kilohearts. And yeah, Universal Audio, and those have been kind of running my world. I was gonna say, you know, I don't use this stuff too often, but things like this, like 2 Composer will have the most hilarious bite to the sidechain on it. So there's been really fun, like random tasks where I've used that, and I'll just use it like on the console. And yeah, so it's the reason it's in the rack. Horrifying. It's scary sometimes, I will say. Like it, but it's a lot of fun too. It's you know, there's a lot of work put into it. You know, these days it feels like it's exciting. I think would be like the right thing to say. Yeah, I would definitely might move into something with a little bit more room. I have been thinking about, I'm really intrigued by the tower mains that Head has made, so like that might be like newer speakers, either that or ATCs. But yeah, like a little more would be kind of nice. But yeah, who knows? As far as space goes, I'm pretty happy with the way everything sounds in here, and of course that's always paramount. That's what I've found is if I can go into a room and, you know, like when I moved in here, I didn't have to tune it too much. So I had like all this, what do you call it, RLX and stuff ready to go, and I didn't end up having to do much of it thanks to the ceiling shape and everything. Definitely, yeah. So I'll just start over here. I have this tape machine. This is something I bought when I used to live in Atlanta, and again, like I use it mostly for sound design. One of the cards is like fucked up in it right now, so like track 7 doesn't record, but everything else does. So just over the years, it's almost been a secret weapon that just kind of comes back and goes away, mostly in the sound design for bass. Yeah, like old Behringer compressor with the hilarious side chain. Again, a lot of what I'll often do with a lot of the hardware stuff is it'll be this sort of thing where it's sampling it in and then just further just destroying it in the computer, or even just like resample or whatever. Over here is an old emulator 4 I inherited when I worked at a music store in Alabama with it's like an OS disc in there too, so it's like haha emulator 4. And so I'm a big fan. I've really enjoyed the head Type 20 monitors since I got them. I am an NS10 will never die guy, so I still have the NS10s. So the old joke is if you can actually hear a sub on the NS10s, it's too much. So also a good way of knowing. This thing, I was looking for a Mackie 1682 for ages because I used to have a 3282, moved to New York, and unfortunately, my stuff was stored in a Zone A when Hurricane Sandy hit, so the console was on the bottom, so my 3282 was toast. Luckily, so much of it survived, like the keyboards. And also good lead up to the keyboards and synth section, because all of that's just kind of hardwired in, and then I can switch between the tape and analog or digital or the audio interface coming back in. So this guy, Juno 106, is the very first synth I ever got. Not going to say how long ago it was because it's almost like borderline embarrassing. I also got this Nord lead for years. Classic virtual analog. Yeah, like the modular world. Fell into modular in a really weird way. But I found this case in the garbage, so that's the insane part of this whole experience. Then I just started buying module and module and module. I just the way that I can kind of get with a different philosophy if I'm staying in the analog domain. So I've really enjoyed digging into this world, and again, not what it's really done to my bank account, but I've had fun. I do something every once in a while where I do kind of like a 0 CPU day and just spit MIDI out at everything. Still actually have a bunch of guitars sort of hidden over here as well, so we'll occasionally pick those up and track too. So, well, I'm really stoked to have early access to the beta for Phase Plant, and I've really had a blast just every time I'll open this and think, all right, here's something I want to try. It's very intuitive for me to dig around and get the results that I've been looking for. I was gonna say I can play what I've got here. The drums sound like shit right now, but but just like with like a little race bass thing right off the cuff. But it's been a lot of fun to be able to do a lot of these older techniques that I used to, like, I used to make the respace kind of like this in Reason back in the day, so how could I do this now? And it's great to be able to do this all in one, where, if I were using the Ableton sampler, I'd be sitting there just duplicating samplers and trying to do some of these crazy things just to get the results I'm getting here, and at that point, like, God only knows, like, how bad the CPU's getting, especially if you're, like, stacking in, like, synth layers under it, and just being able to do everything in here. And it's pretty much like any time thing, like, well, I wish I could do this, and I'll click a menu, like the sends, the lane sends and everything, like if I wanted to, I don't want to do this parallel or serial, or no, wait, I can just send it all to the master if I want to. It's all awesome.
Okay, Michael, really great talking to you.
It was awesome.
Thank you so much for showing us your studio and talking about your career and your life.
Hell yeah, thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Cool, hell yeah. Cheers.
La